The smart city is a concept that's been around for many years. But what does it mean? How do we achieve it? And are our cities getting smarter? Joining me to discuss that is Noel Bernal. He is the county manager of Adams County and the chair of the Technology and Innovation Advisory Committee. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to talk about this topic. So what is a smart city and how has this concept grown?
Yeah, the smart city is a concept that has its roots dating back to the 70s. In the 2000s, there was a strong push by the private sector to really see more investment in emerging technologies. That has been backed up by further federal funding through ORA, ARPA, just basically supporting the government investment side of smart city applications as well. But I think overall, we have to understand that smart cities has a different approach when you look at the US approach or when you look at the Eastern approach. So smarter cities are not just about technology, and I think early on the focus was heavy technology. The shift is also morphed toward the people side because it's really about the design, the funding, the people, and how they participate in that digital transformation.
Okay.
So how are smarter cities being also more equitable, more inclusive, and how is it better for society at large? So how do we integrate and how do we make sure that it's a very grounded approach in terms of how we approach smart cities?
And how do we achieve that?
So if we start with the technology approach or the top-down approach or what I call the vendor approach, we could sometimes be mistakenly guided in terms of what it is that we need to be focusing on. As administrators, we have to make sure that disadvantaged groups don't get more entrenched or more marginalized by some of these same investments that we may make that may plunge us into a situation that is unintended.
I love that it's community focused. Now, you're in Colorado now, but you were in Brownsville, Texas. So let's talk about your experience in Brownsville and how you were able to turn it around from being one of the most disconnected cities.
When you look at a broadband type situation like Brownsville, they had basic connectivity issues. So when you have 52% of your community disconnected, or you're a top 5 city in the US, you really cannot consider a lot of these applications because their foundation is not in place. So broadband really is a foundational investment in the 21st century. It is the most inequitable infrastructure piece in America. Only 15% of families across the country actually have access to quality broadband services.
Wow.
So in Brownsville, we looked at it from a connectivity perspective, we looked at it from an economic development perspective.
How were you able to change it? And then what was like your biggest challenge in that?
Having a community summit and focusing with community leaders, helping them understand, and the city becoming a convener and an enabler was key. The bigger issue was defining the role of the public sector in solving what is considered to be a private sector failure or a market failure. And so once our governing body and mayor had validation that this indeed was the path forward, we at the staff level then worked on the funding part and the strategy piece and the legal piece. Fortunately though, ARPA monies came in, so by the time our feasibility study was completed, we were able to save those dollars and use federal funds.
It's a true need. And what was the impact of the work that you did there?
The more immediate impact was we were able to build a small business entrepreneurship incubator and accelerator in downtown with high-speed internet.
Wow.
We were able to secure grants to improve on microfinancing of small businesses. So I think for us, it gave us a competitive advantage on being able to truly compete in a 21st century environment.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now, what's the role of the Technology and Innovation Advisory Committee? How are you working to reach as many cities as possible?
Sure, our role is to give a voice to the non-technologist. Many times technology can be so complex, so intimidating. So what we want to talk about is what's working out there, but not just what's working, but how does it apply in different contexts. We also want to demystify technology. We put out blogs and ebooks and case studies and interviews like these.
Yeah.
But for example, we had a blog on 5G. Many didn't understand what is 5G, right? It's just this thing. So how do you give it some sense of what it really is, how it works, and what will the impact be in our communities? How do we best prepare?
And you're now in Adams County, so what's your focus there?
The vision of the county is to be the most innovative and inclusive county in America. So that's a bold statement, but what does that look like, right? So I think for us, we're still assessing what opportunities are out there and how do we leverage the political capital of our governing body and this sense of identity that we have that allows us to really experiment and be bold in how we approach our challenges.
Trying to be the most innovative city in America. That's quite the goal. Well, Noel Bernal, is so great talking to you today.
Thank you. Appreciate this.